Welcome to It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. What is it? It's everything. Everything you want in life starts with courage. Hey, JB.
What's going on?
Oh, I'm full. That's what's going on.
You're full of what?
Jen, of food. Okay, so last week we had a guest, our very first guest.
Yes.
On the show.
Yeah.
Was it last week or a couple of weeks ago?
We posted the episode this week.
Okay.
It was recorded last week.
Okay, so we had our first guest on the show, Brandy LeBlanc, and she is a bodybuilder, very successful world champion. So, ever since for as long as I can remember, I've always said to myself, hey, I would love to do not bodybuilder. I don't want to get, but I've always wanted to do the bikini, the physique kind of competition. But I've always had an excuse why I haven't done it. As much as I exercise now, I've always said, it's the eating for me. I can't be that disciplined to not cheat and to restrict my calories so much. Girl, when I tell you, so news.
Okay.
I'm now doing a competition.
What?
Yes. Just listening. Well, not even just listening to Brandy, but just seeing Brandy.
Inspired you.
Yes, it inspired me. And I was really like, you know what? I can do it. And it's because it's something I want to do. It's something that's on a bucket list for me. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I can do it if I put my mind to it. So now this week I started for officially in competition prep. And when I tell you, I am eating like crazy. Like crazy. I have about 5 full meals that I eat, plus pre and post workout snacks. Yes.
You're full.
I am full. So today it got to, I think I was due for meal number 4 or something like that. And this was at 3 o'clock. I think it was it was 4 o'clock. So I texted her and I said, hey, listen, so I know right now I'm due for meal number 4, and then I'm going to go and work out after this. And I still have to eat my pre. And she was like, well, hey, listen, that's 3 hours time between now and when you have to work out. That's plenty of time. And I was like, listen, I'm just so full. And she was like, you have to trust the process. Here we're working on your metabolism. Right now you're complaining that you're so full, but when things are working the way that they should, you're going to be licking that bowl and saying it's not enough food. And it had me thinking of Trust the Expert episode.
Yeah.
It had me thinking about that.
When did we post it? Did we post that one?
Did we?
I think that one's going on.
Well, by the time you hear this, you'd have heard Trust the Expert.
Yes.
So I'm in this process right now of trusting the expert. And I thought today, what I really wanted to talk about was...
Wait, hold on. Before we get into that, I have to give a shout out.
Okay.
I have to get a shout out to my friend Amanda.
Hey, Amanda.
She's awesome. She called me earlier this week and she was like, I knew she listened to the podcast, but she's like, I listened to y'all or Dave Ramsey or Tom Ferry. That's it. And I'm like, man, that's a big company to be in.
Dave Ramsey, especially.
Right. And so I just wanted to give her a shout out for listening, for being a loyal listener, and for just letting us know that she is listening and she does like the content and she is motivated by the content, and that makes this all worth it for us.
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda. I should start taking note and doing more shout outs because it's just Team Jen over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to what I wanted to talk about is discipline. I know discipline is one of those things we've sort of touched on as it comes to whatever other topic that we're talking about. But as I said before, my excuse for never doing a competition has always been, I'm not disciplined enough for this. Um, and it had me thinking, how many of us, or even you, Jen, or people out there, have you ever said something like, well, once this happened, I'll become more disciplined? Or,
If you answered no to that question, you're lying.
and like, sometimes we say, hey, when I switch jobs, I'm going to become more disciplined. Or when
I get back from vacation, I'm gonna start eating
I'm going to
better.
become, yes, yes. And that's a
Oh,
common excuse. And it's almost like we're waiting. Discipline is not, you don't have to wait until you're doing something you like to become disciplined. Let me say that again. You don't have to wait until you start doing something you like or you're in a position you think is better to become more disciplined. You need to become disciplined now. Start practicing discipline in order to get to where you want to get, right? Because what changes? Just because you like something or you feel you're in a better position doesn't mean you're going to become disciplined. Because as I've always said, discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it.
well, and also I think it's human nature
Mm-hmm.
for us to, like, we all have things in our life that we are disciplined at, right? Like, you can look at Brandy
Mm-hmm.
and you can say, "Whoa,
She is
she's disciplined
disciplined.
in working out and uh her health, her eating, all of that." You can see that by looking at her.
Right,
But you can't look at somebody and see if they're disciplined in their finances,
right.
their bank account,
Mm-hmm.
their credit score,
Mm-hmm.
their family life.
Yeah.
You can't. So there's some things that you can see from the outside and some things that you can't. And I think that a lot of people, we have the tendency, if you look at your life, to see one or two areas that are like we totally excel in.
Yes.
And that's because we've seen success in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, you would rather like do the things you're good at
Rather than
than then
focusing.
focus on the
Mm-hmm.
things that you're not. So what tends to happen is you keep focusing on the things that you're good at and
Yeah.
they get what you focus on expands, right?
Right.
So they get better and better and better and
And
the thing
then the
and the
things
things
that
you
I think we're about to say the same thing.
yeah, and the things that you don't focus on that you don't like to do
Tend to
stay
suffer.
or they
Mm-hmm.
suffer. They stay the same, they don't get better or worst case scenario, they get worse.
Yeah. Mm. I mean, that's a good point, and that's definitely a good way, like a different perspective, and a good way to look at it. Because I'm sure out there for all of us, there's some things that we're great at, and maybe show great discipline, even if you don't see it as discipline. You may just see it as a talent, as I'm good at this, but
Right.
at the end of the day, you're practicing that. And I listened to, see, you put me on him, Andy Frisella, a while back, and he did an episode where he spoke about discipline. And he spoke about the difference between macro discipline and micro discipline.
Okay.
Macro discipline being, let's say you see an Olympian, someone at the Olympics, whether they're running, I don't know, throwing the javelin, whatever it is, what you see at that time that that person is demonstrating is macro discipline, right? So that is everything that they've been working towards. They're bringing it there. And even someone like Brandy, what you see in Brandy is macro discipline, the results of her discipline that she's practiced daily, weekly,
For
monthly on
years.
show. Yes. And what tends to happen is we look at that end result, whether it's someone who's super successful as an entrepreneur, they are wealthy, or in terms of education, we look at that, and what we're looking at and seeing is what the person is. That is macro discipline. But in order for this person to get to this level, guess what they had to do?
Micro discipline. They had to
Micro.
small
Yes.
decisions that add up
Yes.
every day.
And they say, like, in terms of micro discipline, discipline is a learned habit, right? We can all learn to become disciplined. And it takes what, 21 days to form a new habit?
I don't believe that.
You know?
I
But
I've heard 21, I've heard 66.
six,
I mean,
mm,
I've done things for a long time
done.
that,
But whatever it is, it's choosing, not because you feel like it, but choosing to do it because you know it needs to get done, whether it is because you have a goal or, when you're at work, for example, I'm sure there are things that you do not like at work. But guess what? You do it on a daily basis at a set time. You may even have your own routine at work. You've become, it's a form of discipline. It's something you do every day. If a new recruit comes in and they watch you do, I don't know, I always look at Amazon Packer TikToks. I don't know why. And you look at them pull all these products and slapping all these labels, and it's super, super fast. If someone walks in and they see this expert Amazon packer and sorter, you're like, whoa, that's
right.
speed. That's like a lot of our hand-eye coordination. I can't do that. But guess what? They've done it every single day, weekly, monthly. It builds up. They are at this point where they know I must time this, I must do that, I must have this over here. They're disciplined in that area. And as someone new, so in those areas that Jen was talking about, this was an episode on the wellness wheel,
Yeah.
which looks at physical health, emotional health, financial,
Mental, yeah.
social, environmental. So we may be strong in one or two of these areas that you excel in.
You can say no to buying yourself a new boat, but you can't say no to the brownie.
Right. That's a good one. um, so maybe identify those areas that you always say, well, that's just not me. Some people are gifted in that area. Some people are just lucky. If I had their discipline, I could do it too. But you can do it too. You just have to practice that micro discipline and choose it.
Yeah.
So that's really,
Which is harder than it sounds,
yeah.
right? It really is. Like we talk about this and I feel like we kind of talk about like some of these things in a different way, but
Mm-hmm.
like consistency,
Then,
discipline,
mm-hmm.
those types of things. But you've got to just find a way to figure out like what's that one thing in your life
Mm-hmm.
like that you feel like if you can do it better, it will raise your standards of life in
Mm-hmm.
other areas.
Yeah.
Like if fitness is the thing, then if you were more fit or you were at a more healthy weight, you would feel better in your clothes.
Yeah.
You would be more confident when you were meeting clients.
Mm-hmm.
You would be more energetic with your kids. Maybe you would, like, so your relationship with your kids are going to be better. Your business is going to
Gonna
be
be better.
better.
Mm-hmm.
Your health is going to be better, all because you picked one thing that is also going to benefit other areas of
Yes.
your life.
Yeah.
And like, I tell people all the time, like, I own a transaction coordination company and we
Mm-hmm.
have systems in place, but every one of our transaction coordinators has their own micro system
Yeah.
to get the job done. And it's like, it's okay for them to all have it a different way because it
Right.
works for them.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like being disciplined, you might have to do something that's different than me or Kat
Yeah.
to get you to make that good decision. It might be you have to put your running shoes out, or it might be you might have to pack your lunch the night before.
Yeah.
You may have to put some things in place to help you make those decisions because like I said before in the book, the one thing, willpower is not always on will call.
Oh, say that again.
Willpower is not on will call. You don't have like it. Believe me. If anybody, I was talking about this the other day.
Mm.
Have you ever like had that day where you get up, you work out, you drink the water, you have a protein shake, you eat a healthy lunch, you're drinking the water, and then for dinner you have a bag of Oreos.
Yeah.
Because
Why is
you
that my
know,
life?
because, our willpower is not a will call. We don't
Mhm.
have this willpower all day, every day. By the end of the day, we've used so much of our willpower saying no to all
This
these restaurants and
mm.
these things in the break room and all of these things that at the end of the day, like when you're tired, you're just like,
Just
give me a cheeseburger, you know, or whatever. And so you've got to figure out in your life
Mhm.
what that is and what can you do. Is it not having Oreos in the pantry?
Pantry.
Is it not,
Yes.
like, is it having, if you know that last meal is the worst one of the day because you don't have any willpower, like, you need to know that you have to have something ready in
Ready.
your fridge
Yep.
that's healthy. Don't go home to an empty refrigerator and waiter whatever you want.
Or go
Like,
shopping on a hungry stomach.
yeah. So I just encourage everybody to figure out what is the little things in your life that that can help you make those
Do.
micro
Yeah.
decisions.
And you just since you gave that shout out, and speaking of discipline, there's one lady who has followed me since probably like 2019, been doing the workout since 2020. And I remember a message she sent me once when she first started. She's lost about over 50 pounds working out with me and just following some of the plans. And when I look at her journey, it wasn't overnight or within 1 month or 2 months that she did that. It's been over 2 years.
Yeah.
And now when I look at the influence, when her family members look at her, when her friends look at her and they say, wow, I wish I had your discipline. But that discipline is not the discipline she had in the beginning. It's because of continuing to practice, to choose it daily, even on days when it's not easy. Sometimes she'll send messages. I really didn't want to get up and do this, but I just told myself, get up, put on those clothes and work out. And when you look at her now, her transformation is ridiculous. And I just want to say, Carmen, I am proud of you. She's also the same person when you did the how to buy a house.
Uh-huh.
And way before you did how to buy a house, she had talked about, I would love to buy a house. I just need to get into the process and start becoming disciplined to,
Save money.
save the
Get your
money.
credit score where it needs to be.
And guess what she's doing?
She's doing it.
Come on, Carmen.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's our episode for today, guys. Just micro.
I can't wait to
discipline.
I can't wait to see your transformation
Oh my
working with
gosh.
Brandy.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited to learn new things.
Yeah.
As well.
Thanks for listening to this episode of It Starts With Courage podcast with Kat and Jen. If you like this episode of the podcast, visit our website, iswcpodcast.com, for show notes and other cool things.